And you see, most of our fears are like toothless bulldogs. They're harmless after all. And you see, we had this attitude, and we were shy around people. We could ain't it great with the best of them, but we were like your little kids that I don't know if you've ever seen your little kids that are in the swimming pool. They're moving their arms. They've got their feet on their floor, and they're saying, "Watch me swim." And you know they're not swimming, you know they're not doing it properly because they got their feet on the floor and they weren't really doing it, and we weren't really doing this. And we used to go away from these things, and all of a sudden we'd close our front door, and then we were Mr. and Mrs. Self-Opinionated. We knew what was right, we knew what was wrong. And some people say to us, how important is this system? How important is this system of the books, the tapes? Do we really need to read? Do we really need to come to another one next month function? Do we need to listen to the tapes? Do we need to sit down with our upline? How important is that? Well, you see, an athlete takes a lot of time preparing and training physically to get good at what he does. And we need to take the same time and prepare mentally and train for what we need to do. See, we need to charge our batteries. We need to start developing, as I said earlier on, this millionaire mentality. And the reason very simply is this: we need to be strong. Because in order for us to succeed, we've not only got to succeed ourselves, but the way we succeed is helping other people overcome challenges. And you get some people say, well, I come from a business background. I'm already positive. I don't need that system. I don't need to come along next month. I don't need to. Well, let me say something, and I'm hoping not to offend. That is a very selfish attitude. Because if you don't know the information, how can you help other people have access to that same information? And it's like the two fellows that were out in the wood, and they were chopping down trees. And one of them was chopping away all day, and every time he looked round, the fellow he was with in the same forest was sat down. And he kept chopping away for another hour, looked around, and there he was, sat down, drinking a cup of tea. And this fellow thought, I'm not even going to, they're on peace week, he said, I'm not even going to stop for lunch. And he kept chopping trees down. And he looked around at lunchtime, and he was sat down again. Tea time, he was sat down again. But at the end of the day, he couldn't figure out the person who spent half the day sat down and cut down more trees than he had. And he looked around, he said, how come every time I looked down, you were sat down, but at the end of the day, you've cut down a lot more trees than what I have? He said, what you failed to realise, when you looked around and saw me sitting down, I was sharpening my axe. And that's what we need to do. We need to sharpen our minds. Because to decide our future, we need to decide our habits. And it's our habits that will decide our future. This business is a worldwide business. But let's just leave in this country for a moment. There are 60 million people in this country presently. We're looking to find 6 people. We're looking to help 6 people. We're looking to help 6, give this opportunity and help 6 become successful in this business to live our dream. And I was with someone the other day, and it reminded me so much of me. We walked into the room to do a plan, and he said to me, he said, I haven't phoned anyone this week. And I said, why haven't you phoned anyone? He said, because I haven't had the time. And I looked at him, and I remembered how we were, and I felt so sad for that particular couple. See, having the time had nothing to do with it. He had totally lost sight in his belief in his dream. And if any one of you here today are feeling somewhat like that, our message to you, if we can do it, you can do it. If people can walk across the stage, if they can do it, you can do it. So we're looking to find 6. But what you are going to find, you're going to find some people, you're going to find some no's. There is no question about that. If you're brand new, you saw the plan last night, you're not going to walk out of here and make 6 phone calls, 6 people get in, 3 months later they're direct. You are then a diamond. It's not going to happen like that. But then again, it'd be better if it doesn't, because it's not what you get, it's what you become. You see, you're going to find some no's, and we mustn't let the no's slow us down. It's a little bit like most of you men in here. Have you ever asked your wife to make love to you and she said no? Did you never ask her again? You're going to find a few horror stories. Not so many as years ago. But you're going to find a few horror stories. For example, the fellow that's running around putting this business down, he's telling people this business is no good because it requires effort. Now let me tell you why there are a few horror stories around. Because what happens is this: some people see this business, they get really excited about this business, they go to work their next day and they tell all their friends they're going to be millionaires. And then they go away in the evening so they haven't got the guts to pick up the phone and make some telephone calls. Most of them are so lazy they don't want to get away from their TV. Are they going to go to work and tell their friends, well, I was too lazy to do anything with it? They're going to blame the business. There's a saying, a bad workman always blames his tools. And there are a few horror stories around. But is there any ladies in here that's ever had a baby before? No, Ruth had 3 babies, and the interesting thing was this. Every time Ruth was 8 months pregnant, she heard the horror stories. Well, my auntie's cousin's niece, she had a baby and she was in labor for 50 weeks and they had to pull it out with a voice. What a load of baloney. Now, I was with a very highly qualified nurse the other day, and I said, listen, you hear these stories about ladies having difficulty in giving birth. I understand there are probably a few, but what are the reality? What is the percentages? And she said, no, it's a very highly qualified nurse. The percentages are 2%. But I'm sure you have heard the same ones that we've heard. You see, and the other day, I was buying a motocross bike for my son. He hit his goals, and we rewarded him with a high-powered motocross bike, Kawasaki KX60, wheelies in 6 gears. And I was down there buying this bike off of the salesman with cash in my pocket. And he said to me, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm in networking. I'm in my own business, and I've heard all about that. It's a con. And I said to the fella, I said, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but let me tell you what I'm found. I said, I came from a farming background. We had an opportunity 8 years ago. Today we are financially independent. We have been for 2 years. We live in a very nice lifestyle. I said, one of us is either stupid or ignorant, and I know it isn't me, so which one are you? See, it's a question of educated people. We need to educate people what this business stands for, because there is a point of readiness for everyone. The people that you phone up, it may not be their point of readiness, but we need to educate people. And you know what? We had people laugh at us. We had people tell us this thing wouldn't work. But in the last 6 months, we've had 3 people ring us up and say, can you show me that business? In the last 6 months, that has happened to us, but we had to go through some no's. Has anyone rung someone up and they said they've heard of it before? And let me tell you why that is, because we get in this business, we know people on the same level as us, confidence level, attitude level. We know people that are slightly intimidated by us. Now, we're not going to ring the people that we're intimidated by, because our belief in the business isn't that strong. We're not going to invite the people, in some cases, the people that are on the same attitude level of us, because we don't know what they might think of us. So all of a sudden, we look down the scale, and we look at Fred and Margaret that's been unemployed for 35 years. We know they want to move on. They've got a satellite dish on the side of their house. And we pick up the phone, we say, Fred, we know that you've been unemployed for the last 35 years. Do you want to make some more money? And he replies, is it Amway? Now, the reason why, because Fred and Margaret is on everybody else's list. And it's just a question of belief. You think that's bad enough? When we were direct, there was Amway Leadership Seminar, and Amway said to us, you need to sponsor 8 people. And me and Ruth looked at one another. We'd been in several years now, and we'd fought hard enough to get the ones we got. So then we sponsored our dog. It was a Mastiff, and it lived in the barn beside of us. We filled in the application, Meg Mastiff, the barn. She had her own ammogram come every month. And what really surprised us is when she went gold in her circle. But see, what we've got to do is ring up the people. Anyone can ring up people. We've got to ring up the people where we feel we deserve it. You know, the one where you look at the phone, it suddenly looks a lot bigger than what it really is? And you know, the phone call, when you pick it up and you're starting to break out in a bit of a sweat. And you know, when you ring the numbers very slowly, you're hoping they're not in. And all of a sudden, when they answer the phone, you go, ah, and you put it down again. And you know you can't ring him back again because he would have known it was you that rang 2 minutes ago. And we need to ring people on our chicken list, people that we know, because that's the reason they are where they are, because they're more receptive to ideas. We've got to ring people up. Now, what I'm not saying is you can't categorize people, but we're looking for people that are looking. And by doing that, we just got to ask a simple question. All the technique are on the tapes, but a simple question is this. Are you open-minded to look at ideas on how to make more money? Are you open-minded to look at ideas on how to diversify your income? And you see, what confirms this is this. Has anyone in this room or ever have anyone phoned them up since they've been in the business to ask them to get in it? No. We've never had a phone call. We know loads of people know us, but no one has ever phoned us. And I'll tell you why that is. The reason no one has phoned you up since you've been in, because that just confirms the very fact that I'm saying that you're a winner. Because other people do know you. Other people don't know that you're in the business, but they haven't got the confidence and belief to pick you up and ask you again. And you think about that. But what you've got to remember is this. Your upline did. Your upline picked up the phone, they phoned you, they're helping you, and that's why you need to show them the respect, and all the respect that they deserve. It's like showing the plan. We've got to show the plan if we're going to build a long-term business, but in the beginning, we're very nervous at it. It's like on your wedding day, you're very nervous going through your wedding day, but you're focused on your wedding night. It's all uncomfortable. And also, it's very uncomfortable. It's like going to school your first day. I remember I cried all the way to school. But I couldn't work it out why, because all my uncles and aunties said, cool, school were the best times of your lives. And I went off to school, came back crying. I said to my mum, I've had enough of school, that's it, I've seen it, done it, I don't want to go back again. But you know what, then we got some friends. I got some friends, started playing football, become one of the lads, and used to quite enjoy going to school. And then when I was 13, I noticed women. And I couldn't wait to go to school then. And then when I was 14, 15, I used to say to people, school were the best days of my life. And it's the same with the business when you think about it, because all of a sudden, 13, 14, surrounded by all these women, you're living your dream. And you see, it's the same in this business. To begin with, it's very uncomfortable. Sometimes you don't really like it, but if you do it enough times, you get to like it, you get to enjoy it. Now, I hate it. Now, we had someone the other day, or about a year ago, said to me, I asked the question. I said, tell me this, could you learn to show this plan? I expected him to say, well, of course I could. He looked at me and said, no, I could never do that. And I thought, what do I say next? So I said, can you read? And he said, don't insult me. So again, presenting the opportunity, I said, can you get a friend of yours that you know well enough where you can invite yourself round his house, go to his house, sit down and read in this book? He said, yeah. I said, well, try that then. He went away 2 days later, phoned me up, can I have a kit? I said, what do you mean? He said, I've just shown the plan. I said, I thought you said you couldn't. He said, I read it from the book. And all of a sudden he got his confidence and started showing the plan. So all we've got to do is overcome. We show it the first time. You know, I hated showing the plan. I'm no good at maths. I've got it all written on the back and I still get it wrong. I'm no good at using big words and stuff like that. But see, our motto was this, is what we lack in ability we make up with good guts and determination. Because we found this, he who showed the plan wins. If we can show this plan 3 to 5 times a week consistently over the next 2 years, we'll see light at the end of the tunnel. We will be able to write in our book exactly the day when we will want to do the things that we want to do the first time we saw this business. And see, has anyone gone to a plan training or a function and saw someone they already knew? Has anyone ever done that? Cool, I didn't know you were in that. And then you go home again, you look at your list. Did you see, are they on your list? That's happened to me so many times. I've looked at people and think, cool, you're in the business. But I knew you, but you weren't on my list. And the question to me, you is this. If you were financially free, if you were an emerald and a diamond, if it was you that was in the profiles of success, who would you have on your list? And who would you contact and invite? Who would you show the plan? Would it be your dentist? Would it be your doctor? Would it be your vet? Would it be your local business person? Would it be the manager of the big companies? Would it be your bank manager? Or perhaps not. If he had any ambition, he'd be already out running his own business, there sat in the bank counting our money. But, no, I'm only joking. No, I'm only joking. I like my bank manager and he likes me. But that's the beauty with this business. The beauty with this business is this. Whether it's a manual worker or whether it's a high-flying executive that comes into this business, everyone is equal. Everyone is the same. Because no one has nil knowledge with this business. And it doesn't matter age, background. What counts in this business is determination and a willingness to succeed, a willingness to learn, and some guts to go after this business. And that's why there's so many success stories coming out of this business today. See, we need to develop a sense of purpose. We need to have a fake it till we make it attitude. I'm not saying pretend to everyone that you're something you're not. But you've got to fake your own mind. Fake the little voice that we were talking about. We're already successful. We need to self-talk. We need to know that we know that we know that we know that we're going to be successful in this business. See, we need to keep on increasing our belief through this system. Because if we increase our belief, that will increase our expectation, which will increase our attitude, which will increase the speed that we achieve our goals, and that will increase the speed we live our dreams. You see, our mind is like a garden. If we sow doubt into our mind, it will produce failure. But if we sow expectation, it will produce results. It's a bit like the story in Grow Rich While You Sleep about the chap who was 60 years old. Suddenly realized he was 60. Suddenly started slowing down. Muscles started to ache. Started to feel old. And they tricked him. They said they got the birth certificate mixed up, that he was only 50. And straight away, he suddenly started feeling fit. He started working 4 times as hard as what he was when he was 60. And he was a new man because he was living in a 50-year-old body. But he later found out that he'd been tricked. And he resorted back to his 60-year-old body. And all of a sudden, he felt tired. And he felt his muscles were aching. It was purely in the mind. You see, doubt sees the obstacles. Faith sees the way. Doubt sees the darkest nights. Faith sees the day. Doubt dreads to take a step. Faith soars on high. Doubt questions who believe. Faith questions I. And you know, there's nothing more exciting when you're coming home late after a plan. When you've perhaps done your first plan, or when you've driven 2 to 3 hours and you're driving back after a plan, and you all of a sudden you've got a sense of pride. You're feeling good about yourself because you know you're not only building a business, you're building something of value. You're building something that will have generation after generation that will enjoy. You're having a positive impact on the morale of this overall country because you're out there helping people. You're helping people. And as I say, we have got a lot of people, which are family of mine and Ruth's, that are in the business today who laugh once. See, this business is about rekindling people's dream and giving them hope for the future. And let me say something. You know the person in your road with the silly grin on his face, that every time he sees you keeps asking you, where's the Rolls Royce? Has anyone got the person in that road who keeps asking you with that silly sarcastic grin on his face, when are you going to be a millionaire? Don't, for goodness sake, let him be right. You see, it's not what you say that counts, it's what you do. And I can remember we used to have people that I used to work with that used to say, are you a millionaire yet? And I had all the slick answers. And I used to come back and say to Ruth, oh, I told him. But you know, when we thought about it, we were no better than what he was. You see, talk is cheap. It's not what we say that counts, it's what we do. And you will know that you're doing the right thing when you drive home on a winter's night and you drive past that particular person's house, and we've all got that particular person. And his curtains are drawn and his ice is on the cars because he hasn't moved that car since he returned from work from 5:30. Then you know when you're doing the right thing. Or when you come home on a summer's evening, it may be 10:30, it may be 11 o'clock, and you see all their house, lights all out, they've gone to bed. Or their curtains are open, and you see them sat down on that living room sofa watching the TV. Then you know you're doing the right thing. And I'll tell you what, it's going to have a full reverse, because it's going to be hard to keep the smile off of your face when he suddenly comes to you one day and says, got your rich friend staying with you, I see. And you'll say, well, why'd you say that? Well, the Mercedes in the driveway. And you'll be able to look at him and keep the smile off your face and say, well, that's my Mercedes. It'll be hard for you to keep the smile off your face when he suddenly bumps into you and you're in your old jeans and T-shirts walking up to the shop or wherever, or driving, he stops and says, oh, got a week off work? And you'll be able to say, well, actually, I don't go to work anymore. It'll be hard to keep the smile off your face when you put the for sale sign on your house, because you know you're moving on to better things. And it'll be hard to keep the smile on your face when you've moved and you're in that house that you've got on your fridge now. Or if you haven't got it on the fridge, it's the one that you're going to put on your fridge. And a few years from now, you may decide to do something different around Christmas. You may decide to do something like, I don't know, have your own personal Christmas cards made. And then you'll put you and the family on there. And perhaps the house. Or maybe, I don't know, a couple of the cars. And then you will form a list on who you're going to send those cards to. It'll be hard for you to keep the smile off of your face then. You see, success is the realization of a worthwhile dream. Develop a reason to build this business that's going to make the hair stand up on the back of your neck every time you think of it. Develop the belief through this system so that you know that you can do it. We know that each and every one of you can build this business, but you need to know for yourself and develop a plan with the people helping you on how to build this business. And then simply put the hammer down and go for it. And we will have the privilege of seeing you on the beaches of the world. Thank you.